All right, Brian. So, I mean, it's been a long minute I've been here, but when I was here, it was rocking. We're talking about Chris Van Hernen, Alex, Riguez, Austin. They were all training, right? Everybody around your circle, even Scrappy, coming up with the debuts. But since then, we had to do like a hard reset and stop. Talk to me about since that time and where we're at right now.
It was hard, not for everybody because we didn't know exactly what was happening in terms of what fights were going to start taking place, or if any fights are ever going to come back on this year. This COVID just turned everything upside down, and everyone's getting ready for their fights, and all of a sudden it's like cancellation right across the board. It's been hard for the fighters to try still stay motivated and staying in shape. Not knowing is right now is the biggest problem on on fight dates and all that. Unless you're contracted with a lot of promotions and they got fights for you on TV, I think that's the only way. I've talked to guys like Tom Loeffler to see if they're gonna put on the shows again sometime this year. They are not even sure on when the fights are gonna take place. They said it's all up to the
The state.
yeah, the state and the athletic commission on putting up fights. I don't see it anytime soon within this year. I think a lot of it's gonna come out after the vaccine comes out. Um, until then, right now it's hard to put up fights when television is not involved because I think for me it's the only way they can make money. I don't see people coming into a venue and packing a venue to showcase the fighters on. I don't see that happening.
I'm sure you've been in a situation where you've been on the unknown as far as like when's my next fight, right? As far as like, you have to wait a couple of months for your next fight. But is there any way during your pro career that you could probably compare into a situation like this where you had to wait, but there's like this big unknown whether or not anything like you
I think the closest thing for me to feeling this way was injuries. When I had my hand broken, I didn't know whether I was going to go back on fighting, when I'm going to start fighting again. We had a time frame, but it all came down to like my first fight when I broke my metacarpal. The first thing that hit me there, I might gonna fight it for again. But after they fixed it, they're like they give you this much time, 6 months off, and then you can start training again for the next fight. But this is unprecedented. We don't know um, when for the local club shows when that's ever gonna happen again. Guys like Top Ranks, they have television fights, so they can put up.
it's the middle class
Yeah,
promoters, right?
yeah. Right now, for the guys that's trying to start up and coming, it's hard for them to find fights right now,
What
locally.
what do you advise to boxers that are trying to debut their first fights, or let's start with that one. Like, what would you advise boxers that are trying to like come up, debut in their first fight, given them the unknown, what could happen? Any advice?
Stay ready. Try not to give up on your dreams yet. At the same time, make sure you have something to fall back on, especially at these times. Make sure you have some way to provide for yourself, some way to provide for the family here. But this is the thing that you're looking at to make a career out of. For the ones looking at, I advise them to see if you could, stay the course, stay active, stay ready, because you never know when the next fight is going to come up. But at the same time, be realistic and see if you can find some way to help support yourselves financially. But that's the kind of advice that I want to give to
And like this whole situation with COVID, it kind of show how fragile boxing is as far as like other sports. They have leagues.
you. Yeah,
There's always going to be a league next season. Just take your time. But in boxing in general, is like totally
it's chaotic.
chaotic.
Yeah, it's chaotic. We don't have one organization that kind of helps, you know, guide all of the athletes in a certain area. It's almost like the Wild West. Boxing has always been, and it always felt like it was the Wild West with different sanctioning bodies, different promoters, um, and fighters always vying and trying to fight for a spot on certain club shows and certain cards. Um, it's almost like a free for all right now, and that's how it feels like it.
What do you
Knowing the COVID, situation, it doesn't make it that much easier.
what have you learned about boxing from this like whole period, like just in general? Like I know you have had a long career, but anything that you reflect on, like this whole period of time, just looking
It's
at things.
weeding out, as a trainer now, it's weeding out a lot of the serious people
Mm.
from the ones that, that's not really serious about boxing and wants to start off career. What I mean by that is that the guys that wants and is truly passionate about the sport and wanting to make a life and a career out of it are the ones that still sticks to the gym and wants to train, wants to keep that dream alive. The guys that teeter-totter from wanting to become a career or not are the ones that are not entirely coming to the gym or not showing. So it shows the passion and the levels of people and the fighters who's really serious about the sport and the one that just wants to play around. And that kind of weeds out those people. Kind of I don't see the same faces I saw before pre-COVID. Now I see the same faces that are really passionate about the sport now post-COVID.
And the boxers, not to give me any insight, but what's been like the mood as far as like just in general, like the boxers that you've been working with, as far as like how they're handling the situation.
The ones that I'm handling are still positive about the situation. Those are the guys that wants to still keep training, wants to still stay in the gym, wants to be ready at all times so that if an opportunity comes, they'll come and snatch it when they can. Sometimes you get those days. Everybody's human, I had a couple fighters that say, "Hey, I don't know if I want to go in and find other venues I could put my energy into." One of them wants to become trying to get his realtor license, and be a realtor. Others are looking at going back to school or you know what I mean. Boxing right now is not. It's not like before where it was like, hey, I want to sit for a fight. I'm going to be trained hard. Now we don't know. Everyone's in limbo, I know some champions are also in limbo. They don't know what cards are going to be. One of them, like Casemiro, these people called me and asked me if they could have some way of putting their feet in the door to fight because they were supposed to be fighting.
No, yeah,
No, and that was tossed up in the air because of COVID. Price cuts happened. Bob Arum said that we can only offer this much if you don't want to take it because it was a significant amount that dropped from their previous first. So like that. What I'm saying? And this is happening to world champions. I can only imagine people that's not world champions, just starting off their career. Unless you got contracts with big promotional companies, you're not really being put on shows.
And how have you handled this situation, just yourself?
I'm just trying to take it one day at a time. Still training people out there that's wanting to train. The white collar people, blue collar people coming in here for been training a couple of MMA fighters that has fights lined up. With the MMA, with LFA, hopefully getting signed with UFC. A few fighters, boxers that could get offered shots, but the ones that's serious, they're right up here. Like trying to keep as much normalcy as possible.
That's the thing, right? Like that sense of normalcy. Like I remember I was looking at some training montage of Regis training here, and I took a picture, and in that picture you have Alex, Scrappy, like all the whole gang just training for something. And I look at them like, man, I don't know when is that gonna happen again. Like, just that sense of urgency and just everybody coming at the gym, not being worried about that unknown factor if we're gonna have that virus, right?
We can handle what we can do with our actions, right?
It's one of those things that you can't control, right?
You can't control the things that's happening outside out of your control, right? The only thing we can do is help stay prepared, help be mentally focused, staying in the grind, and that's the only thing. And sometimes that's just enough to keep us sane. You can easily just stay home all day and worry about things all day. Why not go to the gym and work out and still stay within the craft and stay ready, because you don't know, this could be over, by next year, and then right back into it. So the professionals are the one that's staying in the gym, keeping focused, keeping their nose to the grinder, and having hopes that it'll pick right back up, everything will be okay after, very soon.
I appreciate this conversation, Brian. Is there any way, as far as your following, as far as your social media, where can I plug that in, as far as your Twitter, Instagram, anything like that?
Yeah, just hit me up, hashtag Viloria Boxing. Hope everybody out there is just taking care of themselves. Keep the mask on, keep washing your hands. This will be over soon. It's not gonna last forever. So hopefully we go back into, like I said, normalcy. Go back to the grinder and have boxing back on track again.
Thank you, Brian.
Get it.